Hi guys, welcome back to Love and Confetti. I'm Dani and I'm with my boyfriend ARION.
Hi.
The topic for today is your life's purpose, and this episode is inspired by an article by an author called Mark Manson. He's the author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and his second book is called Everything is Fuck. Highly recommend both reads. It really makes you more self-aware. We have been trying to record this episode for the past, 30 minutes, but we've had like so many technical glitches. Right now, I am recording from the bathroom because the internet from my room isn't working, but we're going to try to make this episode work. This episode is actually a follow up from our last one because the theme for our episodes for January is kind of more on self awareness and planning, just stuff to kickstart the new year. And it kind of revolves more about personal values, self-awareness, what your plans really are, things that would really help you and help us in navigating through the year with a lot more clarity and intention.
And purpose.
Yeah, and and purpose. So if you have no idea what to do with your life, maybe these questions that we're going to be talking about can help you out.
If you guys want to answer along with us, you can always pause the video and reflect and maybe get a notebook to the side so that you can write down your answers. We tried our best to answer these questions because they're not exactly the most, I'd say, normal questions. They're kind of unorthodox, they're kind of worded weirdly, and what we'll do is we'll explain the question and we'll explain the context behind the question, and then you can pause the video or pause the podcast and you can just write down your answers along with us. And we'll also explain our answers along the way. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the ride with us.
Basically, we're talking about this article because we feel like this entire purpose question is really something that, as adults, we struggle with this question. You know, what do I want to do with my life? What is my purpose? What am I passionate about? And truth be told, I think that 9 out of 10 people don't have an answer. And maybe you'll find the occasional one person, rarely, who knows what their life purpose is actually about. And these are usually people who are driven by mission. Maybe these are people with vocations, things like that. Or I guess people who are very intentional with their lives, very self aware. But for the most of us, we really struggle with this question. And personally, I feel like I've struggled with this question a lot, especially in maybe the past few years, because before, you're in high school, you don't really care, or, you don't have a lot of responsibilities. And then you're in college and it's very, I guess, structured. You're just supposed to go to school, study, get good grades. The goal is to graduate. So you always have that goal. Like, my purpose in college is to graduate. And then after that, I went to law school, and it was still, like college, way harder, but there was still always like that goal to be striving for. And in a way, I felt very stable. Like, there was always this next step to take. So I didn't really have to question what was my purpose there. I didn't even have time to consider that. And I guess considering it, knowing that you are in a high stakes environment is a bit scary, because then that would mean if you were wrong, then what was the point of going through all the struggle? But then I failed out of law school, and that's when I really had to meet this question head on as I was trying to debate whether to continue or if I should find a new path. So I'm very friendly with this question, this life purpose question. And in the article, I just found it very comforting because Mark Manson, the author, says that there is a big problem when you're looking for your life purpose, because the concept itself is very problematic. The idea that we are all put on this earth for some special mission and we're supposed to dedicate our lives to find out what specifically that one thing for us is. It puts a lot of pressure on you, and you always feel like if you can't find that one thing, then maybe in the end your life had no meaning, maybe you're a failure. And the scary but the harsh truth is that we are all alive for an undetermined amount of time, and one day we're gonna die. And during the time that we are alive, we're supposed to do things that we find meaningful. Meaningful is actually relative, so it's meaningful to you, what you define as important. So what we do with our time that we find important is ultimately what gives our lives some meaning. That's our purpose. So when people ask, what should I do with my life? What is my purpose? What they're really wondering is, what can I do with my time that is important? And that is the whole gist of this episode, what we're trying to answer and what we ourselves are trying to, in a way, discover or rediscover. Maybe we know these answers deep down. We haven't really taken the time to play around with the thoughts, put it on paper, give it like a more clear structure.
Yeah, and I agree. This article is actually super insightful. If you want, we can paste the link somewhere, maybe on the YouTube channel, and you guys can actually read along with us. And what I especially liked about the article and also the YouTube video that he posted in relation to the article is that finding your life's purpose is everyone's dream. But the thing is, you can't be so determined in life sometimes, because imagine if that purpose is taken away from you, then you're completely defeated. But instead, what I liked about what he said is that it's good to have a lot of purposes. It's good to feel fulfilled about doing several things, not just one thing at a time. So, for example, if my purpose is painting, then that's one purpose I can have. But then you can also have a purpose in being a good family man or something. So you can actually disperse your efforts into different areas. Put it this way, you don't actually have to put all your eggs in one basket. Like what you said, it's about how to make the most of your time and how to make your time feel like it's not being wasted. It feels more fulfilling. It feels more, I guess, fruitful, putting your efforts somewhere. And the thing is, I think the best way to know if you're feeling like you don't have a purpose is to recognize what you think you're wasting your time on. For example, are you endlessly playing video games all day or just watching Netflix all day? Do you feel like this is fruitful to you? Do you feel like it's something that is going to get you somewhere? Or do you feel like it's something that is not a waste of your time? You have to actually question these things yourself. So if you feel like Netflix is good for you, then okay, that's your choice. That's entirely relative to you. But if you actually are watching Netflix despite feeling that it's a waste of time, then do something about it. So I think this is what's really nice about the article. It addresses these issues. If you feel like you're wasting time on something, then stop doing that thing and focus on things that actually feel like they're more fulfilling.
Yeah, I actually had an experience like that. I think it was before I moved to Spain. I was talking with one of my best friends, Stephanie, and I was telling her that I couldn't find a business idea, or I couldn't find something to do. I couldn't find the one thing to do with my time. And I spent a lot of time thinking about what that one thing was, because I remember I was pestering all my friends, a lot of friends, telling them, this was post failing out of law school. I was basically starting from scratch, and I was put into a place where, okay, now I have to decide what I want to do with my time. And in law school, all my time was dedicated to studying. Before that, it was college, it was school. And then now I was suddenly free. I had all this freedom, all this time. I didn't know what to do with it. And so I remember telling them it was something along the lines of, if I wanted to have a fashion show, I'm not interested in designing the clothes themselves, but gathering ideas. If I wanted to make a restaurant, it was more on like the vision boarding. So I was telling them all these things because in my head, these were like the more popular choices, like open a cafe, things like that, open a clothing line. And I was telling them like, I'm interested in clothes, but do I want to be selling them? Do I want to dedicate my time to logistics and inventory, things like that? Anyway, point is, I was in a way lost about what my next step should be. And I kept thinking about the opportunity cost. Like, if I do this, I'll give up this. If I do that, I'll give up this. That took up a lot of my thoughts and my headspace. And I remember her distinctly telling me that, rather than just think about it, just do something, just do anything. And I don't know why, but until now, I still like remember that. And I feel like going back to life purpose, there's no reason to just sit down and like really contemplate what you're put on earth to do, what your mission is, like what is the meaning of life kind of thing. If you're just sitting down and thinking about it, what you should be doing is going out, trying new things, discovering what you're good at, discovering what feels important to you, discovering what you actually like doing. And that's a better way of finding what you find meaningful in your life. And I like this question, what can you do with your time that feels important it is a better question to ask than what is my life purpose, because it doesn't have the baggage, it doesn't have the pressure of the one thing.
I just wanted to add. So, I just wanted to add to like a little story about this guy. So, I'm sure you guys are familiar with The Witcher on Netflix. It's like one of the biggest shows right now, and I was super into it. I really heavily enjoyed it, and I researched about the author. And really fun fact: so the author was actually, prior to being an author, being a writer of this like very popular series, he was a leather salesman. Okay, he was a traveling leather salesman, and he
That's so random.
yeah, it's so random. It was completely unrelated, and he was doing that until I think he was maybe 38 or 40 something. Okay, until one day he finally decided, I actually want to try becoming a writer. And he joined this competition in Poland. He's from Poland. And he placed second. He didn't even place first on the competition. But his writing was so popular. The little story about The Witcher, it was just a short story at the time, that the fans in the competition, they requested more and more copies from him, more stories from him. And he continued. He continued to write and write and write until he has like a complete cult following in Poland and all Eastern European countries. And then it was turned into a video game that became a bestseller worldwide. And now it's one of the best Netflix shows in the world. So if you feel like, oh no, I'm too old, I don't have a purpose, guys, people start at any age. Even like the oldest person they're probably trying something new right now. And well, it's not about how soon you do it. It's about when you get started, and
Yeah,
it's
actually
when you're
doing it.
ready to and actually doing it. Exactly. It's when you feel like you're ready, you should start doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I would even argue like even before you feel ready, because you always struggle with the self-doubt, right? Like you'll always say like I'm never ready, I'm waiting for the right time, but just taking baby steps towards realizing the goal is better than not starting or starting later.
No, and actually, a very good thing, I think you told me this, is that instead of picturing this giant, big goal in front of you, and then you're like, oh no, how do I get there? How do I get there? And then you never actually do anything to get there, start picturing the steps to get there. Like, just picture small little goals. For example, I want to be the biggest YouTube star in the world, right? Oh no, how do I get there? How do I get there? How do I get there? Well, instead of thinking about how you get there, why don't you start saying, okay, I want to make content this year. I want to get 1,000 subscribers, which is in the grand scheme of things very little, right? But see, you can start like that. My goal is to get 1,000 subscribers, and when you exceed those goals, you feel more inspired. So, I think that for the most part, don't picture this giant goal ahead of like in front of you and think like, oh no, it's so big, I don't know what to do. Instead, focus on the little steps, the journey getting there, and that'll help you achieve your goal.
Yeah, I think ultimately the question is like, what can you do today, that would help that future goal? Like, what can you do? What is this, like a small win that you can do today that is a vote for the future that you want for yourself?
Exactly.
Yeah, so we've been talking a lot, so we're gonna get through these questions in a bit. But these questions are really, they're weird questions, and I think that they're structured in a way where it's supposed to be fun to answer. It's supposed to be interesting, like thought provoking. It's not supposed to be like, what do you call that, in your feels and very scientific or anything. So these questions are kind of ridiculous.
Okay, let's start with the first one.
Okay, so the first question is, what's your favorite flavor of shit sandwich, and does it come with an olive?
So picture a sandwich that's full of shit. No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, so basically, things suck, right? There's a lot of things in the world that just suck, and they're, sometimes you don't want to deal with them, and they're unpleasurable and stuff. And the thing is, you have to know what you're willing to take. What shit are you actually willing to take in your life? To put it simply, what unpleasant experiences are you able to handle? And are you able to do it? Do you think you can actually struggle and do it just to achieve that goal you want? if let's say you're into photography, are you willing to take photos in the middle of the rain with the ice cold weather, and you're probably like gonna get sick out of this, but in the end of the day, it's for your dream, it's for your job. And if you say yes, then that's the flavor of shit sandwich you want to have.
So basically, this question means that everything involves some sacrifice or some cost. So then the question becomes, what struggle, what sacrifice are you willing to tolerate? And what are you willing to do that you actually enjoy doing that other people would find really hassle, would find shit to them if this was assigned to them? So this favorite shit sandwich is actually what gives you a competitive advantage in a way. Basically, this is what you can offer to other people that other people aren't willing to do, and so therefore you're better at them. So the answer to this question will tell you, what struggles are you willing to tolerate to get what you want, and what will you likely be better at than other people? So you want to start?
I feel like I answered this very badly because this was the most difficult question for me. So my answer, it's a very vague answer. I think Danny's is more specific. But anyway, my answer was, I'm willing to throw my ideas out there into the world. So, I'm a creative person. I have so many ideas for like different things, for media, for whatever. And I'm willing to throw my ideas out there to try to get it done. And even if it's like rejected and completely, abolished by people, I'll be fine. Like this is something I'll accept. Like I'll take it. I'll take the beating. I'll take everything. And even if the idea does not come to fruition, I have more ideas coming. I have more things that I want to get out there. I guess what I'm trying to say is like I'm willing to take rejection, a lot of rejection. And that's something that people hate, but I'm willing to take it because it's not about getting that one idea, that precious idea of yours out there. It's about getting one idea, period, out there. And even if it means going through a list of 99 ideas that I have just to get one out there, I'm willing to do that.
I actually have that as one. It's dealing with rejection. So mine are more, I guess, concrete. I actually found this question in a way the easiest to answer. Yeah, I had some help from Google, but I'm basically gonna run through my answers. So the shit sandwich that I'm willing to eat is the struggle of self-employment, having to manage my time, my energy because of self-employment, dealing with this thing called the resistance, which is something that tells you that you're not good enough, to do it tomorrow, procrastinating, what keeps you from doing the work that you actually want to do. So dealing with resistance and inner creative battles, to always be hustling, to integrate your lifestyle and your work. Because I don't want to be like, this is work and then this is my life. I kind of want to integrate it in a way where you get to travel for work, but then it's also part of your lifestyle. The places that you stay at, the people that you work with are in a way, it is work, but it's also brands that you use, things like that. So other things. So staying up all night brainstorming and gathering ideas for projects, being obsessed with self-improvement, staring at the screen and creating visual material, working from home or working alone, or at most managing and delegating tasks to like 3 to 4 people max as a team. But, for the most part, I don't mind working in a really small team or alone. Giving up stability instead of having a solid corporate career, struggling with self-doubt and being my own critic if it means that I get to create the things that I want to, relying heavily on tech, dealing with a lot of competition, dealing with envy, wondering if I should get a proper job, pushing for an unconventional career and life path, because my family's very traditional, so the whole being a creative thing is really it's not familiar to them. This one's heavy. It's inconsistent income, always learning, reading, and researching. The physical work of having to go out to shoot photos, to change, to bring props, stuff like that. Having to travel a lot, having your profession disrespected, dealing with a lot of opinions and critics, having to undercharge. Just to start, you have to undercharge. Needing to improve my communication skills, having to put myself out there. Gosh, this one, dealing with creative burnout, is a big one. Working with a fast turnaround time, trying to stay relevant, adapting to technological change, trying to make great work, having to be multi skilled, people not understanding your struggles, and probably disappointing people. So, yeah, that is my huge ass shit sandwich.
That's big.
This
Wow.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
Wow.
I really
Mine's
spent
just
a lot
one.
of time on this.
You can see that Danny's like really. She made a whole. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Notion, the app, but this is like Danny's favorite playground. She puts her whole life there, and she made like this whole spreadsheet about exactly this, finding your life's purpose. So it's incredible. Okay, let's go to number two, right? What's true about you today that would make your 8-year-old self cry? So basically, for this one, it's basically what passions did you abandon that you had when you were young? For example, I think for myself, I think I wanted to be a singer when I was a kid, and then looking at myself now would be like, what the heck? Why aren't you a singer anymore, right? Because my dad's a musician.
Yeah, and I guess we all have the tendency to lose touch with or forget about things that we loved as kids. Maybe because we were told to like something else, or maybe we got pressured during our teen years. It kind of drained the passion out of us. So this question goes back to, what childhood passion did you lose as an adult? Or what activity should you revisit just, for the heck of it, for the fun?
Okay, so for me, I made it very simple. I feel like I've abandoned sports. When I was younger, I would play sports like until my legs dropped. I was just completely a full-time sports guy, you know? I always loved to play football. I loved biking, I loved exercise. And growing up, I've kind of gone down in that department, and I think I haven't played football in in years, like a proper game of football. So I really want to revisit that. That's something that's super important to me because it's not just about like the health involved. It's so fun, and I've always had a passion for playing. So that's one of my dreams that I want to get back into.
This question I actually found the hardest to answer. I don't have an answer to this. And I think it's because the things that I loved as a kid, I realized, I guess, that maybe I didn't really like it in the first place. For example, like there was singing, there was performing, things like that. I was always part of every club. There was writing, and there was arts and crafts. But I guess I kind of narrowed down into like what I really like, which this is what I'm trying to pursue. So those things that I abandoned, I don't feel a big loss abandoning it, because I don't feel like that is what I would want to be doing for the rest of my life either. I can't really answer this question, mainly because the things that I feel I've abandoned because of social pressures and stuff, I'm trying to rediscover, and I'm trying to make a career out of it. So I can't give a clear answer to this question. But if I had to tell my 8-year-old self something to make her cry, is that she is going to be dealing with this big shit sandwich that I mentioned in the previous question. So, okay, moving on. Question number 3 is, what makes you forget to eat and poop? Basically, what can you lose track of time on? What do you truly enjoy doing that you get so involved in the activity that the whole world disappears? It's basically like what gets you in a state of flow. And when you're thinking about this, try not to think about just the activity itself, but like what makes that activity interesting to you. For example, like let's say you like partying, but maybe you don't really like partying itself. It's maybe you like socializing with people. You want to start?
So for my answer, this one's also another vague one, but basically, I like getting better at crafts that I pursue, whether it be voice acting or something in my games, or maybe game design, something, whatever piques my interest, I get obsessed about for a while, and I stay up all night watching videos, learning about it, studying about it, looking up ways I can, get better at my craft. I guess that's my number one. Like, I'm always trying to improve at whatever I do. When it was football, I would always look at football moves online. I would always look at how I can learn this trick, or how do I become a better player mentally. When it was cooking, I would always research recipes. I would look at different chefs and look at techniques on how they cook. And basically, whatever it is, I always get obsessed and I always try to like become the best. Because I guess it's like my Aries nature, you know, I always want to be number one at whatever I do. So it's always like I just want to be the best at my craft, and I'm always up at night trying to figure out how to be better at what I'm doing at the moment.
For mine, I don't have like a very definitive answer, but basically I can stay up all night creating. And if you want to get like specifics, it's like I'd rather work with a screen than my hands. Also, I think I'm very big on anything to do with self-improvement and anything to do with like brainstorming and gathering ideas. And I think ultimately I like organizing an experience. So, for example, marketing, branding, all like problem solving, this entrepreneurship, I think goes back to that. What kind of experience do you want people to feel by interacting with you or what you create? Something like that. So, I don't know. I feel like that's very vague also, but I like designing and styling. I like strategizing, organizing, and all that, creating, photographing, doing video. And I think anything that I can creatively express myself in is something that I would happily forget to eat and poo to.
Moving on, for the next one, how can you better embarrass yourself?
Okay, so basically, before you're able to be good at something, you have to be willing to fail and first suck at something because, when you're starting out, you have no clue what you're doing. And in order to get better, you have to do something repeatedly and fail repeatedly. And that's the whole process of improving. So some people, because, maybe they care about what other people think of them or they don't want to feel embarrassed, they don't want to feel uncomfortable, they never try these things. And so they end up not getting good at what they want to be good at only because of other people's opinions or only because of their self-doubt and because they're not willing to confront that uncomfortable feeling. And great things are supposed to be unique. And to achieve it, you're supposed to go against the crowd, and that feels scary. And so the point is, you're supposed to be proud of being embarrassed, be proud of putting yourself out there, be proud of the embarrassment that you're feeling, because that means that you're trying to achieve something that is important to you, something that's meaningful. So, yeah, the answer to this question will tell you what scares the shit out of you and for good reason, and that you should stop making lousy excuses and start doing something. My answer to this question is by showing my work, posing for shots, when I'm shooting, speaking in front of the camera, because one of the things that I feel like I really need to improve in is speaking concisely and with the good flow, being vulnerable and open with my thoughts and feelings, daring to put myself in uncomfortable situations for content creation. So for example, I have a page called Girls with Sign, and basically I have become a meme. I've accepted that. But I feel like if you let anyone else do that thing where you're kind of made fun of, it's really like a hit or miss. Some things do really well and a lot of people support it. Some, there's always going to be some haters. So I guess dealing with the haters is, in a way, as long as it allows me to create, like I'm willing to deal with and I'm willing to get embarrassed over.
Well, I wanted to add, like there's this beautiful quote I heard before: every master was once a disaster. So remember that, guys. Not everyone started out being the master of their craft, and it really takes time and it takes a lot of like embarrassment. Anyway, so for my answer, I guess right as of the moment, I don't mind embarrassing myself as a voice actor because this is something I've been pursuing for a while. And I know I sound ridiculous sometimes. I don't have the best voice. I can't actually pull off a British accent as well as other people can, but I'm willing to sound ridiculous just to get somewhere. So I guess this is something I'm willing to embarrass myself over. Okay, next question. How are you going to save the world? This one's a very interesting one. So basically, there's so many problems around the world. There's hunger, starvation, all these things, right? And the thing is, we can't really solve everything, right? But we can actually put our efforts into doing something to help, make the world a better place. Even if it's just a small effort, it's still something we can put our mind to, like kind of like a small mission for ourselves, right? the feeling of making a difference it shows that you're not selfish, right? It shows that you care about a problem that's bigger than you, and it helps add to your purpose. Is what you're doing related to something that's, a bigger problem in the world? So I'll answer first. For my case, I like to make people happy. It isn't exactly a problem in the world, right? I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of happy people out there. But if I can make people happy through things I create, then I think I would feel really good. If it brings if someone's depressed and then I don't know, they watch something that I made and it made them super happy, then I would feel fulfilled because I feel like I'm helping even just one individual feel better. So I like to make people happy, and this has always been something that's been a part of me ever since I was small.
Yeah, I super agree with you there. I feel like that is one of, that's actually one of my answers, but mine is more so like, what can I create that is valuable to people, relate to, and resonate with, and hopefully it makes their lives or even their day just a bit better. If I'm thinking of it like in the bigger sense, if I do get success in this whole creative thing, then I kind of want to empower people who were at the same place as I was, empower people who want to be creatives or people who are creatives, that they can do it too, that they can be successful in this, that they can actually make money, because this entire field is kind of like a stigma that you do not make money from this. Okay, so the next question, we're down to the last two, is gun to your head, if you had to leave the house all day, every day, where would you go and what would you do? So the context to this question is that we fall into complacency. We get into our routines. We try to distract ourselves. Nothing happens. Nothing interesting happens in our lives. And when people feel stuck in a rut and they want passion to come to them, they want a light bulb to make them act, to make them motivated, what actually happens is passion is supposed to be a result of your action, not the cause for you to act. It's supposed to be like a cycle. It's not like you get passionate and then you act. Sometimes, most of the time, you have to act, and with that you get inspired to do something else, and then you get the ball rolling, and then you discover what you're passionate about or something. So imagine if you were in the 1990s without the tech. If you were forced out of your house, what would you be doing? So basically, we're back to the big question, which is, what can I do with my time that's important? So the answer to this question will tell you what you were passionate about all along and how you should spend your time.
Okay, so I think in my case, I would go out and do anything that's related to the entertainment industry, whether it be film, television, video games, whatever. I would want to be there, and I would definitely want to be in the creative aspect of that industry. And especially more so, I think I would really love to implement my ideas in that industry. If I'm a director, if I'm a game designer, those are the positions I want to fill. Like, I just want to be the creator of certain things, I feel like I'm also a very good team leader, so I like delegating and planning with the team members. Yeah, that's really like what I would do. It's just hyper focus on anything in the entertainment industry.
I actually find this question kind of hard, but if I had to sum it up, if I had to do anything, I think I'd want to be a creative entrepreneur. So it kind of meshes both my obsession for self-improvement and all these things with the creative side. Yeah, I think anything related to that I would love to do. Maybe also shoot and create content and, be on the field, taking photos, things like that.
Okay, so we're down to the last question, and if you guys are still with us, thank you so much. I hope you guys are answering along with us. And yeah, so for the last question, guys, this one's a very big and heavy question. If you knew you were going to die 1 year from today, what would you do, and how would you want to be remembered? So, care to explain, babe?
So basically, I know it sounds morbid and it sounds very depressing, but it's a fact of life. And death is really the only thing that gives us perspective over our entire lives. It's like what sheds light on everything that we've lived for. the answer to this question is going to tell you what's most important to you and what values should guide all the things that you do. I don't really know how to verbalize this, but if I were to die in 1 year, I think I would focus a lot on my relationships with people, with my parents, with my sisters, with my boyfriend, with my friends, and just like cultivate a very deep and meaningful and honest relationship with each of them. I guess like treasure the time that I have with them, because I feel like, your relationships are the most important things in your life. If you were gonna die tomorrow, you wouldn't care about all the petty problems. You'd mostly think about the people in your life, right? Yeah, I would want to like share really good memories with all my loved ones. And what I would do is I would still try to create every day. And I guess that is my legacy or something like that. Like I want to be partly remembered for my work, partly through my relationships and stuff. But I feel like I want to create something that would impact a lot of people, something very meaningful that people can look back on and get inspired by or something.
Okay, I think I'm pretty much the same as you. Like what you said, I want to be remembered as a good person. I want people to remember me as somebody that was always there for them. And I just want the people I love to remember me fondly, to have good memories of our time together. I think that's the most important thing. And lastly, I'd like to be remembered for something I created. I don't want to be just a small drop in the ocean of the world. I want to be a big splash. So I would like it that I would complete something that touched people's lives, even if it's just a few people. As long as I'm remembered for that as well, for this thing I created, then I would be really, really happy. Okay, guys, so that sums up all the questions that we did today. And I know some of them were kind of, worded weirdly, but in the end of the day, they were really profound questions that really ask you about, your deepest desires and, your deepest thoughts. So I hope you guys appreciated everything that we did today. I hope you appreciated the little questions, and I hope you guys, participated. It was really fun and also, very reflective because you guys have to think really deep. You have to really question yourself. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed.
This was Love and Confetti. See you in the next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Take care.